position, so I apologize for any noises that you might hear. So let's get started. The story title is called Fire Bear Redemption. Even through Logan's sunglasses, the heat on the road surface caused the view ahead to shimmer like a small lake. If only it was water, the newly graduated firefighter thought to himself. The temperatures in southern Alberta that summer had been extreme, with no sight of rain in the forecast ahead. There had been... Sorry, I just have to scroll sometimes. There had even been a couple of recruits in Logan's training course who had succumbed to the intense weather conditions. It happened while they were wearing their thick turnout gear and fighting a staged structure fire in their final few days of training. Logan had been directly behind Ben when he had collapsed, and he had to drag the other firefighter back out of the burning building and into clean air. Once the rookie had been revived, he made it clear to the instructor he would not be returning to try again. Logan felt kind of sorry for Ben, and although he understood the reason why his fellow classmate decided to leave the course, he would never consider himself a quitter. And he was soon back inside the burning building, the burning structure, and intense heat, working alongside the other trainee firefighters to douse the flames. As he drove towards his new town, these thoughts were so vivid in the young man's mind that he almost missed seeing the old hobo on the roadside looking hopefully in at the driver with his thumb extended upward. Logan hit the brakes a little too fast as he pulled the pickup truck over, and it fishtailed on the dry dirt, sending a plume of dusty brown earth flying over the truck. The hitchhiker didn't seem deterred by the sudden braking of the old pickup, and he hurried towards it. He was desperate for some shade from the hot sun that had been beating down on him relentlessly for the past 2 hours. "Where are you heading?" Logan asked the hobo, as the man jumped into the passenger seat. "Anywhere and everywhere, son. I'm mighty obliged that you were kind enough to stop for me. Seems folks around here don't take to strangers on the roadside," the man replied, as he took off his wide-brimmed hat and wiped the sweat from his brow with a scarf that he had pulled from his jeans pocket. "I guess we don't get too many folks hitchhiking these days. My journey ends at the next town 40 kilometers up the road, but it is as good a place as any to stop for a time if you need to rest from this heat. The liquor store has a good selection of food, and the best iced coffee I've ever had." "Even though you can fry eggs on the road at the moment, I've never been one for them fancy coffees. A hot brew straight from the pot does me just fine. You aren't gonna get me drinking no iced coffee, son," the old boy chuckled. Logan smiled over the old guy before checking for traffic and pulling back onto the road. At first, they remained silent, both caught up in their own thoughts. However, Logan was never one to stay quiet for long, and he couldn't a smaller bear for my baby daughter with a piece of crystal. Something special to keep us connected. It was not long after that her mama left me and I never saw them again. I can't say I blame her though. I was much too old for her anyhow. Truth be known, I've been searching for my daughter these past few years. I want to see her before I die. When I think I'm getting close to finding her, something always gets in the way. Anyways, that is enough about me. What's your story, son? Well, there's not a lot to tell you, other than I'm starting a new job as an apprentice mechanic in Claresholm, and I just finished training at the Calgary Fire Training Academy, so I'll be volunteering at the fire department there soon. I wouldn't say that is nothing to tell. Seems you're going to be a whole lot busy. Seems like you're going to be a whole lot of busy with that lot ahead of you, the old man said with a smile. Local chuckled in reply. However, deep down inside, he was feeling a little apprehensive about this new life ahead of him. He had spent all of his teenage years working on his parents' farm. This was the first time he had left home, but at age 22, he knew it was time to move out and become independent. The chance of working as a mechanic with free accommodation on the premises at the fire hall, a short way down the road, was an opportunity too good to pass up, even if it meant leaving all of his friends and family behind. The men chatted about all manner of topics during their drive. It seemed the hobo had lived an interesting life, and he was most willing to share all of it with Logan. Time passed by quickly, and it was not long before they were nearing Claire's home. However, before they reached the town, the hobo asked Logan if he could stop the truck and let him out. I need to stretch my legs for a time, but I greatly appreciate the lift. He said, he pulled a packet of cigarettes from his shirt pocket. Once the truck had pulled over at a much gentler pace this time, the hobo offered Logan a cigarette and asked if he had a lighter. I don't smoke, sir, but you can take these with you. Logan reached over into the glove box and pulled out a packet of matches. Thanks, son. My lighter ran out this morning, and I have been hanging out for a drag ever since. I kind of figured you weren't the smoking type, which I had never started. Wish I had never started. They didn't have them fancy warning signs about tobacco killing you when I first started. And I'm too hooked to ever quit now. He shut the passenger door and waved his ride goodbye. Once Logan had pulled out onto the roadway again, he looked back through the mirror and saw the hobo making his way off through the nearby field, heading towards an abandoned barn. He couldn't figure out why the hobo had not gone with him all the way into town, but he thought maybe the old man didn't have the cash for accommodation. He was going to shelter in the barn overnight. It didn't take long for Logan to reach the garage he was going to work for. The building looked in need of a lick of paint, but apart from that, it seemed sound enough. He took the keys from the ignition and shut the door to the pickup with a resounding slam so that his new boss would know that someone had arrived. However, no one emerged from inside the open main doors. So Logan walked into the workshop to see if he could find the owner. There was a rather beat-up car just inside the door, with a pair of work boots and blue overall, legs hanging out from under it. Hey there, he called out, bending his head downwards so the person working under the vehicle could hear him. I'm looking for Mr. Stacy. Do you know where I can find him? A muffled reply came from the person, which Logan was unable to hear. But they they soon slid out from under the car, covered in grease and looking rather bemused. "Oh, hi," Logan said again with a shocked look on his face. "Sorry, I didn't catch what you said. Can you please point me in the direction of Mr. Stacy?" "There is no Mr. Stacy, just Stacy. And you are looking at her. I fear you must be my new apprentice, Logan Wells." "Yes, ma'am, I am," Logan replied, a little stunned that his new boss was a rather attractive young female. "You can stop right there calling me ma'am. It is just plain Stacy, you got that?" "Sure thing, Stacy," Logan added. He now felt a little foolish, and wondered whether he had just made the biggest mistake of his life. It wasn't so much a problem that his new employer was a woman, it was more the fact that she had a fiery attitude to go along with it. Alright guys, I think that's as much time as I'm going to have in this particular video. I'll make a part 2 right away and upload it in a couple of days. And maybe a part 3, I'm not sure. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the story so far. And I will put a link for ASMRduck down in the description. She's the one that wrote this story for me, and I certainly appreciate it. It's very cool. And if I did not put the link down below, it's because I couldn't figure out how to do it. Sometimes for some reason it doesn't work. Just like sometimes responding to comments